Alright, so this will be a video on my method on how to solve any higher order cuboid, except for a select few. So this method can be used again to solve any higher order cuboid. I'm just using a 3x3x5 as the classic example, but any of these, you can use this method to solve it. And you can even use it to solve the Fisher cuboids, and even the duo axis cube. So pretty much any higher order cuboid except for the bricks. So put these aside. So the few puzzles you can't actually use this method to solve are the bricks, like I said. These are the only 3 mass-produced bricks, so I'm using them as an example. Because the bricks are kind of their own unique solve, so you just can't use this method for these puzzles. But anyways, back to this. So for this method, you only need 3 algorithms, plus I guess a 4th one, which is the 4x4 OLL Parity algorithm, but I'm assuming most of you guys already know what that is. But I'll put all the algorithms that I use in the description of the video, just so you can see them written out. So how this method works is I solve it into its cubic shape and get it back to its cubic shape, which I'm pretty sure is the first step on any cuboid method. So once it's back into its cuboid shape, I get the top layer and bottom layer solved. Actually, the bottom layer will get solved. The bottom and middle layer I actually solve in the process of solving it into its cuboid shape. So the second step is to get the top layer. And then the third step, well, you just have these 2 middle layers left to solve. So I get in the centers, which is pretty intuitive. And then the final step is to move around these kind of edge pieces. And I do that by using a modified T-Perm and the 4x4 OLL Parity algorithm. So the algorithms that you're going to need to learn are kind of cuboid safe algorithms. So the first one is an opposite edge swap. It's a really simple one. And then the second one is an adjacent edge swap, which is a bit longer. And then again, the third one is the modified T-Perm, so these 2 edges and these 2 corners. And then since we also use the modified T-Perm on these 2 layers, it will actually swap these 2 corners, or edges rather, and these 2 centers. So I'll go through those algorithms right now, and again, they'll be written in the description. So the first one, the opposite edge swap, is like R2, U2, R2, U2, R2, U2. So as you can see, this one and this one swapped. It also flipped this whole middle section, but we're not going to worry about that. Okay, and to get it back, R2, U2, R2, U2, R2, U2. Okay, and so the adjacent edge swap goes like this. R2, U, R2, U, R2, U2, R2, U2, R2, U, R2, U prime, R2. As you can see, it swapped these 2, but again, it also flipped this middle section. But again, we're not going to worry about that, since once the entirety of the top layer is solved, this will be solved as well. So just ignore the middle layer. All right. And so again, that algorithm, R2, U, R2, U, R2, U2, R2, U2, R2, U, R2, U prime, R2. And it's back. All right, and now the modified T-Perm, or the cuboid-friendly T-Perm. So these two edges and these two corners will be swapped. Goes like this. R2, U, R2, U prime, R2, U prime, D, R2, U prime, R2, U, R2, and then finish it off with a D prime. So as you can see, these two got swapped, and these two got swapped. And the algorithm again, R2, U, R2, U prime, R2, U prime, D prime, R2, U prime, or U prime, R2, U, R2, and then D prime. Okay? And then for the middle layers, again, we use that same algorithm, but instead of a U and D, we only move this layer or this layer. Okay? So keep that in mind. And then also keep in mind that these two centers will also be swapped. As you can obviously tell, they're opposite centers. So when we do this, when we do the algorithm in the middle layers, we're going to need to do two setup moves. So we just need to get this center in this position, just so when they swap, we're basically just be swapping these two centers since they're equivalent, and it'll be fine. So the setup move would just be D2 or wide D2 and then L2. So we get this center opposite this center. So now we do the modified T-Perm on the middle layer. So these two edges will be swapped and these two centers will be swapped. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I'm still going to just refer to this and these two layers as U and D, just to make it easier. So again, that algorithm, R2, U, just the middle layer, R2, U prime, R2, U prime, D, again, just the middle layer, R2, U prime, R2, U, R2, and then D prime. And then we have to get it back since we did those two setup moves. So just undo the two setup moves, L2 and D2. So as you can see, only these two have been affected. So that's how you swap around those pieces. So to get it back, again, D2, L2 for the setup moves. And again, the setup moves just get this red opposite this red so that they swap with each other. Then the algorithm again, R2, U, R2, U prime, R2, U prime, D, R2, U, R2, U prime, or U rather, R2, and then put that back. And then to fix the setup moves, just L2 and then D2. And then the final algorithm, which is the 4x4 OLL Parity algorithm, which I'm assuming you already know. And you can use any version you'd like. All it does is swap, or flip these two rather. So the one I use isn't the conventional one that I know most people use, but it's the one I've learned. But any algorithm will work. So it's R prime, U2, L, F2, L prime, F2, 2R, U2, R, U2, R prime, U2, and then finish it off with F2, R2, and then F2. As you can see, these two flipped. And then again, any 4x4 OLL will work. And it's at this point where I realize that I'm really bad at trying to recite the algorithm as I'm doing it. I'm sure I've already made a bunch of mistakes when reciting any of those algorithms. Oh well. Again, they'll be written out in the description. They will be written out correctly, so I apologize if when I've been reciting them, they've been slightly incorrect. But they'll be correct in the description. I'll make sure of it. So anyways, now onto the scramble. Just do non-shape-shifting moves to get a full proper scramble. Okay, that'll work. And then you start shape-shifting. Okay. I think this is sufficient scramble. And now onto the solve, if it'll focus. Okay, so now the solve. We start off by doing just a regular 3x3 solve. I'm going to assume knowledge of a 3x3. So anyways, I'm going to assume knowledge of a 3x3, so I won't be explaining a whole lot what I'm doing. But anyways, I'm just starting off with the white cross. So this red piece, this red edge, matches up with the red center. This blue edge needs to go on the on the blue side. So there it is. Green's right here. We just come down right there. And the final orange piece goes like that. Again, this is just basic 3x3 moves, nothing special here. The white corner, red, green, whites, just like that. Orange, green, white. Just like that. Red, blue, white. Right there. And then the final white one. And then we have the white layer. Again, just basic 3x3 moves. So now we're going to solve this, the true middle layer, we're not worrying about this one yet. We're looking at the actual middle layer right now. And again, this is just the second layer of a 3x3. So this red and green can come down here. Again, just using regular 3x3 moves. Red and blue goes right here. Orange and blue goes in right there. And then orange and green goes in right there. Okay, so we have the middle layer. And now for the top layer. Okay, so we have it back into its cuboid shape. So now the top layer, to fix the top layer, we're gonna have to use those cuboid algorithms that I mentioned at the start of the video. So when I do this, I solve the corners first, and then I do the edges. So I don't have any corners that are already matching up. So I can do that modified T-Perm to swap around the corners. And I can do it pretty much anywhere, wherever I want, since none of the corners are solved. So let's just do it randomly. Okay, now let's see what we have. I can see I have headlights right there, so those corners are solved. So I can put these two corners on the left, and I can do the T-Perm from this position so that these two corners will swap with each other. Let's do it again. Alright, so now we have all the corners solved. So next we do the edges. So I can see these two need to be swapped. So I do the adjacent edge swap, which goes like this. Okay, so these two got solved. And now take note that this middle layer did get flipped. So when we do the next move, whatever it may be, just make sure that this flipped layer is always on the right face. So when you're getting everything into position to do the next move, make sure you're only moving the top layer. Don't actually rotate the puzzle to get the top layer into position. You want to move just the top layer, just to keep this flipped middle layer on the right side. Okay? So anyways, moving the top layer only, I need to get these two edges in these two positions. So these two. And now I can do the adjacent edge swap again. That will swap these two, and then it'll also fix this middle layer. So the swap. Okay, and as predicted, these two got swapped, and the middle layer has been restored. Okay. So now we just have these two layers, which is where I think my method of solving this becomes really unique, because again, I haven't seen anyone really do it this way. So anyways, I start off by getting the centers, which again is really intuitive. See, I can just move this blue up here, like that. Then I see the other blue is right underneath where it goes. So what I can do is I can bump it out of the way and do a U2 and then put this layer back down to get that blue back in. Okay, so that blue is in now. See, this orange can come up here. It'll bump this one out of the way. Do a U2 and then put that layer back down. And then U2 to fix that. So now we just have these two centers. So this green, I can do this, put the green up, U2, and then put this layer back down. And now all the centers are solved. Again, that's a very intuitive step. So now to swap the edges around by using that T-Perm and the 4x4 OLL Parity alg. So when I do this, I like to solve like a whole section by itself and then just kind of work my way around. I don't like to solve, you know, one piece right here and then go like to the other side of the puzzle, solve another piece, just because things can get kind of, it can be kind of difficult to move things around easily without bumping something that's already solved out. So I see this red and green is already solved, so I'll start right here and try to get the other red and green right here, just so I can, you know, stay away from this side since it's already solved. So I see the other red and green right here. So if I do the 4x4 parity algorithm, it'll move this to right here, and then I can do that T-Perm to move it from here to here, and then it'll be solved. So let's go ahead and do that. So I hold it like this, and then I execute any OLL parity algorithm. Okay, so the red and green is now right here, and it needs to come across to right here. So I hold it in this position, where this can come over here, And now again, keep in mind that this center will swap with this center. So I need to get this center in this position so that when they swap, I'm really just swapping these two centers. So I do the two setup moves, which is a wide D2 and then L2. So now this screen is opposite this screen, so they'll swap with each other. And then these two will swap, these two edges, which will solve this red and green. So let's do the algorithm. It's just this layer for the U move. And then again, just this layer for the D move. Okay, so the red and green is solved. And now we have to undo those setup moves. So L2 and D2. So now I have these two solved. Okay, so let's try to move this red and blue over here. Again, I can just do the T-Perm to move it over here. I want to do those setup moves to get this blue up here. Just like that. And then we do the algorithm. Okay, and then undo the setup moves, just like that. Now I see it's in its wrong spot, it needs to go over here, but we'll worry about that later. So what I can do actually, since this is the other red and blue, I'm going to need to move it over here. But I see that if I flip these two, it'll solve this orange and blue. It'll get this orange and green up here, so that when I move this over here, this orange and green will move over here as well and solve that. So to be as efficient as possible, if I do the 4x4 OLL parity like this, it'll move the green, orange and green up here, and then I'll be able to move that into this position while moving this over here. So let's go ahead and do that. Flip these two. Alright, so orange and blue is now solved. Now I can do the T-Perm in this position, which will move this red and blue over here, and it'll solve this orange and green. So we want to do the setup move to get this orange center up here, like that. And now I can do the T-Perm. Okay, and then undo the setup moves. All right. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and flip these two, which will solve this red and blue. So then the final two unsolved pieces will be right next to each other. then I could just do the T-Perm, and then the whole puzzle will be solved. So again, being as efficient as possible, let's go ahead and flip these two to solve this one. Okay, and then the final two pieces will be solved by doing the T-Perm. So like this, we need to get the blue into this position, D2, L2, and then we can go ahead and do it. Okay, and then undo the setup moves, and it's solved. So that's my method on how I solve any higher order cuboids, or at least most of them in that case. And all of these will be able to be solved using this method, and many more. These are just a few examples that can be solved using this method. So anyways, thank you for watching.